Wisconsin Governor Scott Walker, former presidential candidate. Governor, as we zero in on a possible vote next week, how do you feel Wisconsin will do if it passes?
Well, Wisconsin will do very well. We're one of the unique states out there. We did not take the Obamacare Medicaid expansion. We did not set up a state exchange, and yet we covered everyone living in poverty for the first time in our state's history. That's because states are more effective, we're more efficient, we're more accountable than the federal government, and it's why not just in Wisconsin, but all across America. Governors for years have said, give us the money back and we'll make it work, not only on health care, but on other issues. This is our chance to do just that.
Some people look at this and say, well, Maryland's going to get less money, New York's going to get less money, Massachusetts is going to get less money, and California, what do they have in common? All Democratic states. Is this politics?
No, when you look at the fact that 4 states get about 37% of all the money spent on Obamacare, I think most Americans say no matter where you live, no matter what your background, there should be a pretty equal, or at least as close to equal amount spent. That's where this bill gets us over the next decade or so. By 2026, you get to a point where just about every American is getting about the same amount per person when it comes to federal health care dollars, but it's going to the states. I got to tell you, when I look at this dollar, I'd rather keep it in Wisconsin. I'd rather keep it in Illinois. I'd rather keep it in Minnesota or Kentucky or Arizona, wherever it might be, as opposed to sending it to Washington and getting pennies on the dollar back. That's what this is all about, sending the dollars right back to the states and ultimately to the people like our founders intended.
Right. And by the way, Governor, you're the first to use props today. And we had the OxyClean guy on. He didn't even bring anything with him, so you definitely have a leg up on him. So Chris Coons was on yesterday and last night. He's one of the most reasonable Democrats out there. And he says this is his concern when it comes to pre-existing conditions and the coverage. Listen.
There's no definition of adequate and affordable. There's no enforcement mechanism that says exactly how the federal government will hold the state to that description. There's also a provision that suggests that it is possible for health insurers to rate beneficiaries differently based on their previous health experience. I have a concern that suggests that the ban that's in the Affordable Care Act on discrimination based on pre-existing condition will be easily overridden when states apply for waivers under this Cassidy Graham health plan.
Yeah. Bret Baier gets an appearance fee, by the way. Adequate and affordable, Governor, because that's the criteria for pre-existing conditions. They have to give adequate and affordable. Does Senator Coons have legitimate concerns?
No. I mean, this is just the pious approach of the federal government we've all heard for years. It's why people hate Washington. People there think they know better than people at the states and people at the local level. The bottom line is the bill, as Lindsey Graham has said, requires pre-existing conditions to be covered. And think about it. Governors and state lawmakers all across America spend a whole lot more time in their states and in their districts than do the folks in Washington who live in that bubble, 68 square miles surrounded by reality. The rest of us who live in reality are going to continue to provide ways to provide for pre-existing conditions. Wisconsin is a good example. We had a high-risk pool called HRSA for years that was highly effective that Obamacare made us get rid of.
Governor, thanks so much. Always great to talk to you. Have a great weekend.
Thanks, you too.